I want to welcome to the live training today. I have Sue here, and I hadn't got on yet. If you've watched the last couple videos that I've done with her, I've been working a lot on mounting and her standing and that kind of thing. And figure we'll see how that goes today, talk about how it goes. And one of the things that when you have an issue, and I talked a little bit about this in the video that I did when I was working on her standing, is you really want to work on getting their mind to want to do something. Whatever it is you want them to do, you want them to want to do the same thing. And there's things that you can do to help that. And we're going to talk about the things that I've done to help her so that she wants to stand still for me to get on. And we'll talk about whatever questions you have, whatever things are going on with your horse, uh, and talk about some ideas maybe that we can come up with so that your horse wants to do what you want them to do. And if your horse wants to please, is usually kind of how people talk about that. If your horse wants to please, then it's a lot more likely that your horse will want to do what you want them to do, and that you have a good relationship with your horse and things go good. Um, Sue here, I think she's around 7, 8 years old. I can't remember exactly. She's one of the three that came from Montana. She was the brokest of the three that came, but she had her own issues. And as you see, she's still haired up like she thinks she's still in Montana, and she has started shedding a good bit. I think our high today is supposed to be close to 80. We've been running a pretty high humidity. Actually, we're expecting a few scattered showers just from the rain accumulating from the humidity. Uh, it's nice to have the snow all behind us. Uh, hopefully, uh, hopefully it feels like spring here. I know the groundhog didn't say spring was coming, but horses are shedding out here, and it feels like spring. So I have 5/16 twisted wire bit on her mouth. If you have any questions about that, put it in the comments. A lot of people are scared of the twisted wire bit. At 5/16, it's pretty good size diameter. It's almost as big as my pinky. And the reason I have that on her is just to give some texture. It's single broke, just like a smooth mouth snaffle, but it just has texture to it. That's really all it is. You say twisted wire bit, people think of these little tiny twisted wire bits, and those have a place, but it's a small place. With her, this is just to give her a little texture in her mouth. I don't want to be applying leverage contact with her just yet. So this is just a little bit higher than a snaffle bit, but not, or a smooth snaffle, but not so that I'm applying leverage contact. So let's see how she's going to do when I go to get on. I just saddled her up and walked her out here. Haven't done anything with her, and let's see what happens. If you saw the videos that I put out earlier, I think it was earlier this week. Uh, one of her getting standing at the mounting block, and the other I was getting up and down. That one actually might not be coming out till this afternoon. I don't remember. So now she's moving. Let's back her up. A lot of people will not move a mounting block. And my opinion is I'm going to work the horse. And if the horse is there when I see in his brain, okay, I'm ready for something to happen, we're going to stop there and we're going to do that thing, whatever that thing is. I'm not going to, if he stops there and his brain or his expression tells me, okay, I understand, I'm going to pick up back there. I'm not going to make him walk back up to the mounting block to do whatever the thing is. And I say mounting block, it could be a ground pole, it could be a cone, could be a slicker, pulling a log, any of that. The mounting block is just a prop. So if wherever we are, when the horse says, okay, I understand, that's where I'm going to proceed. Moving the mounting block is just a prop. Good, much better. Good girl. So we're going to just stand here a minute. The way this started out, as soon as I set the mounting block by her, she would back up or go forward. Started off going forward, and then she started backing up. And in the beginning, we would go ahead and do whatever we needed to do to get on so that we can work on the riding issues. And I know there's different opinions about that. Uh, Sometimes we would have worked on the standing still at that time before we worked on getting some riding miles on her. But in her situation, I felt like if we would have worked on the standing still and then after that, put a bunch of miles on her, worked on her gait, worked on pushing cows, worked on other stuff, then we would have lost the initial standing at the mounting block training, and we would have had to go back and redo that. So I felt like by just kind of working through it, basically ignoring it, I knew it was a problem, but I was still going to work it. I just didn't feel like that was the time to work it. So I didn't work it then, but now I feel like it's time to work it. I know getting off onto a mounting block is usually pretty iffy. It's not really suggested to do. But I'm going to do it some with her if the mounting block is there. So I stepped off. We're going to walk a circle, and I'm going to get back on. I want her brain to think that I get on. When I get on, nothing hard is necessarily going to happen, that she really don't have to do anything. I'm working with her mind so that she wants to stand still. That's the whole point of why I'm working it this way. Just because I get on doesn't mean we're going to go anywhere, doesn't mean we're going to work. Sometimes it will, but it won't always. Good girl. And we're going to sit here for a minute. Any questions so far? So if you got any questions about what I'm doing, it's not, you've probably seen it work similar to this. But if you have any questions about the theory behind it, it's really important that you understand the whys. If you do learn step 1, step 2, step 3 to do this, and your horse has a little bit different brain, then if you don't understand the whys, you're not going to know how to make the adjustment. So let's walk a couple of circles here. Ask her to walk forward. Take the left rein. We're just going to walk a couple circles. In the past, what she was doing, as soon as we would walk, she would actually walk off kind of quick. Keep going. Keep going. Now see how she's thinking. She's not sure if she really wants to walk off quick anymore. She's thinking, maybe if I stand still, he'll get on. I need to get some rhythm going, some go going, and then I'm going to step down. If I step down too quick, then I'm over reinforcing stand still. That is one of the issues that I see. Let's walk. See how she's bringing me back to the mounting block? That's one of the issues that happens a lot with people starting horses that really don't have a lot of horse starting experience. There's nothing wrong with teaching a horse to stand to mount, but you have to balance that with go forward. We kind of lean a little more towards the go forward here than what other trainers do. Doesn't mean one's right and one's wrong. It's just kind of the kind of horses that we work, we have found that works better for us because we can always go back and work on the standstill, just like with her. And we avoid some of the issues with some horses that don't want to go forward if you teach that too much or too quick. I'm not going to ask her to work too hard. Not going to do anything too hard. Walk a couple circles, and I want her to relax a little bit. She, like I said before, when she came, as soon as we put a foot in the stirrup, she would go and kind of nervously go. I want her to go, but I want her to be relaxed, be comfortable about it. I know I have a lot of people that watch from all over the world. Put in the comments where you're watching from. I'm wearing a short sleeve shirt and already starting to sweat.
Yeah. Sebastian is 2 degrees and frosty where he's at.
2 degrees, Sebastian.
Jennifer's in Wyoming, still snowing on and off, no higher than 48.
Jennifer in Wyoming. I bet it's windy in Wyoming too. 48 degrees, and I bet it's windy too.
We have Catherine in Massachusetts. It's snowing right now.
Snowing in Massachusetts.
Angela says she saw the prior videos of her not standing still, and she's doing a lot better.
Yes, doing much better, and in just a couple of times working her, she come along quick. She just needed to be shown. The walking off as soon as I went to get on, she wasn't really trying to be bad. It wasn't willful. It was just trying to do what she thought I wanted to do. Now, it's a different situation if you have a horse that's scared when you go to get on. I had a big gray walking horse maybe a year and a half ago, that he was actually scared. And I had to work that a little bit different. You have to look at your horse and kind of interpret the why. Why are they behaving that way? Is it scared? Is it she's doing like her, doing what she thought she was supposed to do, or is it something else?
Gail says you really need to stop taunting us with the temperature. I have to go shovel snow.
Gail's got to go shovel snow. Well, this summer, when we're 115 with 90% humidity, you can taunt me with cooler temperatures. I've actually had a little bit of issue with rain rot with her because she had such a thick coat, and it just standing, she was sweating a little bit. So she shed it out some so that it's not as thick, and that went away. It never got bad, just it was there.
Mary Lynn in Louisiana is 80 today. Supposed to get a cold front and be back in the 50s next week.
Yeah, you're Mary Lynn. You're actually not far from me. I am close to Biloxi. I am on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. I am just north of I-10.
Ohio, Texas, upstate New York.
Never been to upstate New York. I'd love to visit there. I've been to Ohio, had a really nice vacation there. Went to the NFL museum and stuff, and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. That was really good. I enjoyed that trip. Oh, now we're not sunny. We are overcast. I like Daytona Beach, Florida. I actually used to go to quite a few horse shows there. Not far from Daytona Beach. Some in New Smyrna Beach.
We have the Netherlands.
The Netherlands. Thanks for watching. What time is it in the Netherlands right now? I assume it's evening sometime. Sunny and I bet that sun don't help too much with 7 degrees Celsius in the Netherlands. That's another place I'd like to visit. I haven't been before. Oh, good to hear from you. Yeah, good to hear from you. He's actually out in the pasture right now. He was out last night and still out. He's coming along. He's slow to come around. He's a little bit lazy, a little bit opposite of this horse. But he's going to be a good horse. Colorado, yeah. I have been to Colorado. I was actually snowed in for 5 days in Colorado. That is my experience with Colorado?
It's 4:15 in the number.
4:15.
We have Napoleon, Ohio. We have a lot of ice there.
Let's walk. Let's walk.
Someone posted they found something works well with rain rot as self-solution shampoo.
Yeah, rain rot is basically a fungal, a fungus. Most antifungals will cure rain rot, but usually if you just give it some air and let it dry, it'll usually just kind of heal up on its own, unless you have a really bad case. Hers wasn't bad. I just took a shedding blade and shed out her coat so it wasn't as thick, and it healed on its own.
Sebastian says we have a horse who will step sideways away from the mounting block as soon as you put a foot in the stirrup. It will often escalate to kicking at it and circling back around.
Oh wow, that's getting pretty aggressive. So in that case, I would make him move his feet. Now, sometime like with her, I was backing the horse. Uh, I have lunged the horse forward around the mounting block, and at the mounting block is where they would rest. That I would do with horses that were more aggressive, like the one you're talking about. Horses that were uh, not riding as good. So that I was kind of accomplishing two things at one time. I was helping their attitude riding by making them move the feet and work, and working the mounting block situation at the same time. And there's always more than one way to do something. That's why I said you really need to understand the whys of why a horse would do something, and you need to understand a couple of different ways to fix something, because how I fixed it with her with backing isn't necessarily always the best way. Uh, Different horse, different situation. I've used several different ways to fix that. I have a couple videos posted where I was lunging the horse, and by the mounting block is where we stood, where we rested. So there's always more than one way to fix something. And I always try to pick the way that I think helps the horse want to do what I'm asking it to do, and try to get that communication across to that horse, because that's really key. I did a video on Patreon about releasing to encourage try, and how you release to encourage try is really big to help a horse like her. See, right there, we walked some circles. I stopped and got off. I released. The release is getting off to encourage try, to encourage her. Hey, riding wasn't so bad. You can, one of the probably the simplest ways to release to encourage try is when you stop. And the horse does a good thing, whatever that good thing is, and you stop. So in that situation, you have released, you stopped while the horse was doing something good. And that something good, people think of big things. I want to scale that down. I want to take that down to a minute thing where that something good might have been the horse thought about stopping a little better. Took this foot and put it here or put it there, wherever I'm trying to get a foot to go. You thought about putting the foot where I wanted to go, we're going to stop. And I want to control every foot. Everything I do is going to control roundness with the horse. It's going to control the back, the hip, the foot. So if I get a thought of a foot going in the direction that I want to encourage, that's when I'm going to release. And when you release to encourage that thought, that's when your horse gets really good. And break that down to tiny, tiny pieces. I've said before that if you have to work to find a good place to release, a good place to quit, then you have skipped a bunch of holes. And when you're working with your horse, You need to be working with each foot, each shoulder, each hip, working the thought, what the horse is thinking about. Break it down to that minute, one thing at a time. Because if your horse is not doing something that you want him to do, identify which physical part is not doing, because it's going to come down to a foot or a shoulder or the hip or something like that. And also identify the mental part. Why is the horse not wanting to do what you want it to do? Is it because it doesn't understand? Is it because it's hard and the horse thinks it's too hard? Uh, all of those are going to factor into your decision on how you're going to adjust. Because if you're trying to get the horse to do something that's hard, you're going to back up. She's shifting her weight that way. And we're going to back up. So you notice I walked a little further, and now she's thinking about moving and not standing to mounting block. This is exactly why I didn't fix this in the beginning when she first came in, because I felt like this would come back as we put miles on. Now what we'll do going forward, I'll probably alternate one day working the mounting block standing and another day going out.
Laura would like to know if you ever take stallions for training.
Okay, Laura, I do not take stallions for training. I used to. Right now, I'm not really set up for stallions here, and the help that I have really isn't used to dealing with stallions. So right now, I don't take stallions. Uh, there's some other situations that deal with that, but no, I don't take stallions right now. If you do decide to get them, get with me and we'll talk.
Mary's looking forward to your visit in Tennessee this summer.
Yeah, I've got that clinic coming up in Tennessee. I can't remember the date off the top of my head, but if you remember the date, put it in the comments. I'm looking forward to coming there. It's been a long time since I've been to Tennessee. Last couple of times I went to Gatlinburg, but it's been probably 30 years since I've been to the Nashville area. So I am looking forward to that.
Okay. Fifi says it's icy here in Washington, D.C. She reminds me of the horse I used to ride. Is she a crossbred, or where does the larger legs come from with the foot horses?
Okay, good to hear from you, Fifi, in Washington, D.C. She is not crossbred. She is a registered Tennessee walking horse. Uh, a lot of Tennessee walking horses can have a pretty big variation in their build. Some of them are bigger, some of them are smaller. She's on the little bit smaller size, height wise. But she is a registered Tennessee walking horse. Oh, thank you, Sebastian, for the super chat. I appreciate it. Now, as I'm walking her around, you saw when I went to get back on, she backed up at the mounting block. Now I'm walking her around and she's kind of looking around, not doing anything really bad, but right then she kind of looked at the gate. She's looking at that horse over there, not doing anything terribly bad, but I don't really have her attention either, which tells me that she needs to be worked a little harder to get her attention on me, change directions. Now, what's going to happen when I do this? That's going to make her not want to go to the mountain block, not stand for me to get on. The two are connected, and you have to work the two together. As I kind of pull her around, every time I lose her attention, I'm going to change directions. And I'd be willing to bet that when I get off and get back on, she's going to move at the mounting block again. And you got to balance that out. You have to work the whole horse, have to work her mind. Right there, she's wanting to take me over there. Now, when she kind of settles down, gets the edge worked off of her, that settles down a lot. But I don't want to have to lunge her. I don't want to have to work her hard in order to make that happen. Now, there are all kind of ways to get your horse, to encourage your horse to do what you want it to do. Like, I got up and down. I backed her up at the mounting block. When I lose their ears, I steer over here. Some of those are kind of positive encouragements, like stepping down or standing. Some of them are kind of negative encouragements, like when the ear gets locked, changing directions. You have to do some of both. You have to say, no, we're not going to do that. No, we're going to go over here at the same time that you say that you release pressure. Now, if she's wanting to take me over there and I'm walking this straight line and she's drifting over there, I'm not just going to hold her straight on this straight line. We're going to turn and go that direction. I'm going to go ahead and take charge, because if she's wanting to go there and we just kind of end up in a little bit of a direction battle here, she don't really win, I don't really win, then I'm just encouraging that kind of directional battle to keep going. So that's why I changed directions, to go ahead and, hey, we're going to go over here. We're going to do what I want to do. In turn, that's going to encourage her willingness to do what I asked. Now, I've pulled her around a couple times. Let's stop and step down, and let's see what happens with the mounting block again. Let's see if she stands at the mounting block or if she moves. Either way, it don't really matter. If she stands, that's great. I'll reward her. We'll go ahead and stand here a minute. If she moves, I'm going to back her up. On yesterday morning's video, the wash rack video, I talked about don't be afraid to make mistakes. You're going to make mistakes. I make mistakes. You learn from those mistakes. I'm surprised she's standing. I thought she would move. Good girl. So, you going to stand or you going to leave? See her shift her weight. She's thinking about leaving, but she hadn't left yet. So now I have a choice here. I can stand here until she goes ahead and commits to a decision. Right there, she moved that foot. We're going to back up. I could wait until she committed to a decision, which is what I did. Or I could have stepped down and walked off. But I don't want to step down and reward and walk off when her brain is thinking about something I don't want to encourage. I want to encourage her brain when it's thinking about the thing that I want to encourage. That's when I want to reward the brain. She was thinking about walking off. That's why I waited till she committed to that decision. A lot of times, I see this a lot with amateur riders. They are rewarding, in their mind, they're rewarding something. And that something usually is there, but there is a bigger negative thing that they're rewarding. And that bigger negative thing is kind of what takes hold. And it all has to do with understanding what your horse is thinking. I was talking with somebody a while back, and their horse was pulling on their hands. And that's something that I've talked about some, and the horse pulls on my hands. I'm going to change directions. I'll lock my hands down. I'll do several things to let the horse know that pulling on my hands is not the right thing to do. Well, what this owner was doing was she was giving the horse plenty slack. And in her mind, well, if there's no reins to pull against, then the horse isn't pulling, and I'm rewarding the correct behavior because the horse isn't pulling. And on the surface, it's not a bad theory. But the part that she didn't think about was in the horse's mind, the horse was getting the slack that it was trying to get by pulling. So in a roundabout way, she was rewarding the negative behavior, thinking that she was rewarding the not pulling because there was nothing to pull against. That kind of thing happens all the time. And sometimes I'll do something similar. Sometimes I will try to reward one thing, and inadvertently I'm rewarding something I didn't want to reward. It's common, it happens. And it's going to happen to you. Don't be afraid to make that mistake. It's not a big deal. What is the important part is that you recognize, hey, the outcome that I was looking for didn't happen. This other thing happened. I need to make this change. That's the important part. Nothing wrong with, hey, this didn't work like I wanted. Let's change and let's try this thing. I do that all the time. And if I think this thing's going to work in this situation, I'll try it. If it didn't work, I'll do something else. It's not a big deal. There's no hard set rules that says this has to be this way. And sometimes you got to try a couple of different ways to work something until you find the one that, hey, this clicks with this horse. And sometimes the horse does better if you do try a couple different things. That way the horse doesn't know what's going to happen. Sometimes when you have a really smart horse that thinks a lot, him being a little bit unsure of what's going to happen is good. You just kind of keep him on his toes. It's a lot harder to train a smart horse than it is a not a smart horse. I know I hear people say all the time, "Oh, I got this horse and he is so smart." Smart horses are hard to train. They are really good at outthinking you, overthinking you, thinking ahead of you. Now, all this stuff that she's doing with her face, I'm just going to kind of pull and change directions when she does it. I know that when she gets moving, it goes away. When she kind of gets a little bit sweaty, she focuses a little better. So what I want to do here, I really don't want her to have to get to that point to focus. I really want her to focus as soon as I get in the saddle. So just like when I don't have an ear, that's basically how I'm handling this with her head. And if she wants to go one direction or wants to go another direction, that's how I'm handling that. And that probably change up a little bit. I can add a little bit of a bump with my legs at the same time. Go this way. See right there, I started right and then I turned left. Change it up a little bit. I think this is a pretty smart horse. She puts a lot of thought into what she thinks is going to happen next. She kind of rolls her middle weird when I turn right. Let's work her back up just a little bit. Change it up. Her backup is pretty bad. She needs some help with it. And the other thing is right now she's steady thinking forward. So let's put a little thought for back. Turn her around a little bit so we don't back into the step. Take the slack out of the reins. And squeeze. Squeeze. Release. Squeeze. Release. So if you have any issues going on with your horse and you'd like some personal help with, kind of talk to me one-on-one and see what we can help you with your horse. I'm going to do a special for the next 24 hours, starting 9 o'clock. We'll say we'll start at 10 o'clock on Thursday, whatever today's date is. If you're a Patreon member or not a member, and you upgrade to the elite level, then I'll give you a 10-minute video lesson. Record what you're wanting to work on up to 10 minutes, send it to me. I'll look at what you're doing, voiceover, and we'll talk about it. So if you're a Patreon member, if you're not a member at all, or if you are a member of the trainer insider level, if you will upgrade to that elite level, I'll give you some one-on-one instruction, a 10-minute video lesson. Record what your horse is doing, up to 10 minutes. I'll voice over instruction, and then we'll talk about how to help. All right, you got questions?
Gail would like to know, what is your opinion on German martingale and its positive tendencies?
Okay, what is my opinion on a German martingale? I have one in there. I've done a couple of videos of using a German martingale. I do use them. That is one of the few training gadgets or whatever. I use it. I've talked about pole resistance, and when I have a horse that's pole resistant, I use that draw gag bit. So I'll use that draw gag bit when I have a horse that's very pole resistant, or to kind of get the direction going. So I'll use a German martingale, either on a horse that's either a little bit pole resistant, or a horse that is kind of progressing out of the draw gag, but still needs a little bit of help. So I primarily use a German martingale for pole resistance that's not bad enough to put a draw gag bit. If you're not familiar with the German martingale, it has an attachment that comes from the girth, goes up, goes through the ring on the bit, and then attaches to the rein. It clips onto the rein. It kind of works like draw reins, but once you take up the slack of the cord that's going down to the girth, once you take up the slack, then you're pulling directly on the rein. So it kind of limits the amount of pull that the draw rein would have. Let's change direction. She's wanting to be a little fussy. It kind of limits that pull. I call it, if you overdo draw reins, you can get a horse in a bad position, broke at the pole, chin too far, pulling. And the other part about that, sometimes if you have draw reins and you're riding kind of a hot horse, you can lose your steering and your stop while you're working it. So this kind of has the benefits of draw reins, but takes away the negatives of draw reins. So yeah, I have one in there, and I use it occasionally for pole resistance.
Mary said your clinic in Tennessee says July 12th and 13th.
July 12th and 13th. Yep, that sounds right. Thanks. My clinic in Tennessee is July 12th and 13th. It's going to be in the Nashville area. I'll have that one. I have one that will be in Texas in the fall, and I have one that will be in Maryland this spring, and one in Massachusetts this spring. And then also in this spring, I have one in Germany and one in the UK. The UK and Germany clinic are back-to-back weekends. I'm looking forward to that. We'll do the UK clinic first. I'll get to do some sightseeing, and then we'll do the Germany clinic the following weekend. That is the end of May. Germany is, I think, the last day of May and the first of June. And then the UK clinic is the week before that. I have those posted on my Patreon page. And I have posted it on Facebook also, but it's hard to find stuff on Facebook.
You have Angela with a really good comment. I appreciate that you encourage ongoing learning. I beat up on myself in the beginning for my mistakes and considered giving up and selling my mare several times, but we got through
Oh, that's nice. Nice compliment, Angela. Uh, Telling me she appreciates ongoing learning, and we're all learning. We're all working on getting better. We're all going to make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. There is no person out there that's perfect. No trainer out there that's perfect, and there is no trainer out there that doesn't make mistakes. There are trainers out there that are better at hiding mistakes than other people. There's not any of them out there that don't make mistakes. And no, mistakes are okay. There's nothing wrong with making a mistake. You can always learn from a mistake. You can't learn from not making a decision. That's the way I look at it. And if you make a mistake, at least you can learn. Hey, this didn't work. Let's try something different next time. But if you can't be so afraid to make a mistake that you don't try to begin with, because then you're not going to learn. You have to make the mistake in order to learn. And nobody out there is perfect.
Sebastian asked if you'll talk about getting a horse's mind in the right talking about getting a horse's mind in the right place. I'm sure that starts from the person actually from the start.
Yes, exactly, Sebastian. And actually, me and Sebastian have talked about doing a video just on this. I think it needs to do it. So when you're working on getting your horse's mind on you, and whatever you're going to do with your horse, so that your horse is willing to say, okay, what are we going to do? That starts out as soon as you make contact with your horse, whether that's in the pasture. It can be before you even get to the pasture, when you have a halter in your hand and you're walking to the gate to get your horse, and that horse looks up and sees you coming. That is your initial contact. That is the first point that what you do is going to affect your horse. It could be when you walk to the stall to go get your horse out of the stall. If that's the first time your horse sees you, that is when everything starts. And that's why I am a big proponent of, when you open the stall door, the horse should turn and present their head to you to halter. You should be able to stand in that doorway and halter the horse. You shouldn't even have to walk into the stall. Because if you stand in the doorway and halter the horse, that horse's mind is in the right place. That horse is wherever he is in the stall, and he turns, walks to you, and put his head in the halter. That horse is saying, yes, what are we going to do today? That's perfect. That's what you want. And if you go to your horse's stall and you don't get that, that is the first thing you need to work on. You need to work on having your horse turn to you in the stall. I've done several videos on that. I haven't done one recently. It's been a while back. That is the first point that you need to work with your horse. I have some horses here that are hard to catch. I have some horses here that you walk out in the pasture, you can't hardly get them off of you. But the balance to that is, you have to be the person that your horse wants to be with. If you're not a leader, you're not presenting yourself as a leader for your horse to trust as a leader, then he's not going to present himself in the stall for you to put the halter on him. Those two things have to go together. You can work on the haltering in the stall till you both turn blue and get tired of it. But if you don't have the other parts of the leadership, so that the horse really wants to be with you, then you're not really accomplishing your goal. When you walk in the stall and you horse comes to you to be haltered, you want the horse to come to you to be haltered. See how she's stepping to me to be with me? It's good. She's not trying to make me move my feet. She's wanting to be with me. She knows I'm her leader. So you want the horse to present himself in the stall to be haltered, because the horse wants you to be their leader. What are we going to do? I want you to be my leader. What's the plan for today? Not just because you drilled it so much in the stall that the horse says, I'm supposed to do this. Two different things. Your horse can come to you and meet you in the stall to be haltered, and it be a good thing. He can do that and it not be as good a thing. but you have to work those two things. And I'm gonna do a video just on that, maybe a couple of videos. Now I'm gonna make her move her feet because she's getting a little bit too much into my space. So, okay. So it's a balance there. And that's what we're talking about in this video. Everything you're teaching your horse should be teaching the horse the mind to want to do this thing. If you're just doing the physical actions and that horse is just meeting you at the stall to be haltered because you've worked the drill in the stall and you don't have the mind saying, okay, what are we going to do today? You're not really accomplishing what your goal should be with your horse. It just means you need to look at the whole picture. Another question? Oh, that is Steele. He came with her from Montana. He had a few issues getting him started, but he's riding good now. But he don't like to be in a stall, so he stays out a lot. That's why you see him out here a lot. The other one that came from Montana is Smokey, and Smokey's in a stall. And when she came from Montana, she didn't like being in a stall. If I'm not mistaken, the owner told me that their turnout pasture was 100 acres, and that's what they got turned out on. Of course, in Montana, they have a lot bigger tracts of land than what we have. So, come on. Their turnout here was nothing like that. She didn't like a stall at all in the beginning. But when we started working her regular, she started to appreciate that downtime in the stall. Now she likes her stall.
I have a 6-year-old that does really well in familiar environments, but has a ton of trouble focusing in unfamiliar environments. How would you work on that other than just exposure to strangers?
Okay, a 6-year-old that's really good in familiar environments, but not good in unfamiliar environments. So you've got the physical action going on there of what the horse is physically doing. And then you have the mental thought of the horse is not looking to you and saying, I'm scared of that. What should I do about it? So you have to expose the horse to a lot of different things. And, but exposing him and you being the leader. I was trying to think. I did a video a while back with something. I can't remember who it was. And they were really scared or something. Oh, it was one of the horses that we were shooting a gun. And they were really scared of that. Every time it would go off, they would jump and get worried. But my demeanor stayed the same. No matter what, I didn't panic when the horse jumped. And it doesn't matter what scary thing you're working, you have to maintain the same. Now, if I'm working a scary object and the horse jumps, jumps, you can't say, oh, it's okay, it's okay. That's going to be counterproductive. You're not being the leader. If I'm shooting the gun and the gun goes off and the horse is bouncing around back there at the lead rope, I keep walking like nothing ever happened because you want to develop leadership. You're not going to develop leadership by petting on them and saying, oh, it's okay, it's okay. But if I keep walking and acting like nothing ever happened, what's going to happen in that horse's brain is the thought, oh, well, he's not scared of it. I want to be with him because I don't want to be scared. I'm going to bond with him. He's going to be my leader because he's not scared. I want to be more like him. So anytime you're working any scary thing, think about the mental picture that you're giving your horse. That is really more important than the physical working the scary object. We worked her a lot with a tarp. Still not very good with a tarp. We worked her a lot with it, and the whole time we're keeping our energy down because her energy comes up really quick. If your energy comes up, when their energy comes up, you're not being the leader. You want to encourage the energy to be down and encourage the horse to look to you, be more like you, follow you. So yes, show the horse everything that you can show it. But what you're really wanting to teach the horse is, I am your leader. I know you're scared of that thing, but you stick with me and it's going to be okay. Because there is no way you can show your horse every scary thing out there. I trained police horses for a bunch of years, and there is no way that we can train a police horse to every scary thing out there. We train them as much as we can, but what we're really wanting to accomplish is the mental aspect of, I am your leader. Whatever that scary thing is, it's okay because I'm your leader and I'm here for you.
The same person said places like ropings don't usually have room for you to do things like that. And Mary said with groundwork drills in the new environment helps for that movement.
So I had a roper friend of mine that not about probably 45 minutes away from me a long time ago. And I would take all of my horses to his place and tie them up by the heading box all night long, the whole time the ropings were going on. And take your horse and if they will stand tied, stand them someplace tied and let them see everything that goes on. Ropings are a good thing to do. Barrel races, horse shows, any place that you can take your horse to see everything. Uh, if they're broke enough to ride them down the road, ride them to the road to the store. A friend of mine that lives a few miles from me, he would ride his horse down to the hamburger place, get a hamburger, and ride back home. Uh, that's the kind of things that you have to do to get your horse used to it. They got to see it. But some groundwork will help, but that's not really going to be the key. The key is, let the horse see the stuff, let the horse learn that you are the leader. Uh, you ride a horse down the road, you might see a garbage truck, you might see a tractor, UPS truck. There's all kind of stuff you're going to see that you can't get that truck into your facility to work. Hey, we're going to work a tractor. Hey, we're going to work a garbage truck. You have to teach your horse, I am the leader. Trust me. You can kind of get that started with some groundwork, but you're not really going to get that solid until you start experiencing some things. Uh, when we start hauling horses to horse shows, I'm a real big fan, a real big proponent of uh, practice like you show and show like you practice. So we ride here and we have certain things that we do getting ready for the show. When we get to that facility, we're in a new place. The horse has never seen. A lot of these are young horses that have never been hauled. We're going to go to that facility working the exact same things that we worked at home to give the horse some familiarity. That it's going to be okay. I understand what we're doing. I'm scared of that thing over there, but we're going to work some circles right here. This is okay. He's being the leader. So that is really what the key is. Be the leader and show your horse plenty of things and let him know that you are his leader. No matter what he's afraid of, he wants to be with you. So I think you got any more questions? Okay. I think that's a good place to end this live. It's a good place to end it for her. Her mind is really in a good place to keep going forward. She's gotten a lot out of this lesson, and she's a nice horse. And I'll put a link somewhere here to her playlist, her other videos. We've done a lot of videos going out with her, not as many in the arena, or that's where she's had most of her time. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments. If you want to do the Patreon thing, if you want to either upgrade from insider to elite and get some one-on-one help, you can do that on Tim Anderson Horse Training on Patreon. Become an elite member and send me a message. You can message me straight on Patreon, or you can message me through Facebook Messenger, or shoot me an email at rideslide@hotmail.com. And we'll help you out, help you with your horsemanship, and get you some one-on-one help. So thanks for watching today. Until next time.